You're listening to the Future of Convenience podcast, brought to you by Global Convenience Store Focus, featuring senior retail executives and experts in the global convenience, fuels, and mobility retail industry. Hosted by Dan Munford, Nick Scherzer, and Carolyn Schneer.
Welcome to the Future of Convenience. I'm Nick Scherzer, and I'm joined by Dan Munford, my co-host. Hi Dan, how are you?
I'm good, Nick. I'm sitting opposite you in our offices in Shrewsbury, so not very far away, but this is going to be quite an interesting few minutes.
Yeah, it's going to be a good conversation. I'm looking forward to it. Today we're talking about the best EV hub in the world competition. It was just last week we announced the winner, second place and third place. So we'll be talking about that, looking back. We're also going to be talking about our new competition, the best Foodvenience Store in the world, which is launching soon.
Before we get started, Kempower designs and manufactures reliable and user-friendly DC fast charging solutions for electric vehicles. The company's vision is to create the world's most desired EV charging solutions for everyone, everywhere. Kempower's product development and production are based in Finland and the US, and most of the materials and components are sourced locally. The company focuses on all areas of e-mobility, from electric cars, trucks, and buses to machines and marine. Learn more at kempower.com.
So it's going to be a great conversation, and we're joined by our friend and new board member, Frank Gleeson. Hey Frank, how are you?
Hi, good afternoon, Nick and Dan. Great to see you and hear from you.
Frank, thanks for joining us.
Well, so I think we immediately need to cut to the chase now, and obviously this is something we published last week in terms of the first place, the second place, and the third place in best EV hub in the world in our competition. So just reminding everybody of the result last week. In third place from Germany came Seed and Greet, located in Hilden. They came in third out of 24. I think it's a pretty impressive result, and a very impressive EV charging hub. This one. In second place, we had our great friends in the Nordics. In this case, from Sweden, Circle K Värdemotet in Gothenburg in Sweden came second. And again, obviously, Circle K had a number of entries in this competition, all very strong. First place was our friends in Norway, DCC Energy. And the site is down in Mandal in the south of Norway, and the brand on the EV chargers is on the canopy is Able. So I guess that means that DCC Energy have the best EV hub in the world, guys, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And Dan, you and I were down there with a group of retailers last year. I think it was in September, and I think as we arrived at that site, you could just feel the energy in the group that we had with us and how impressed they were with the overall site layout, the amenities, the offer, really well thought through site, and a very deserved winner.
Yeah, and reaction from you, Frank?
Yeah, it's a testament to the progress in the Norwegian market that not the market leader, but one of the competitors, DCC in this case, is after taking first place. And we all know the Norwegians have been pioneers in EV, and certainly I think it's justified and right that they would win this coveted award for the global EV hub in the world. And certainly the interest, Dan, from the community has been phenomenal. 24 entries, thousands of votes, hundreds of thousands of people looking at this. It's just been a real eye-opener of the best in the world, and I'm delighted with all of them to see how far they've come.
Absolutely. Well said. And the numbers were extraordinary. You're right, weren't they, Nick? Give us the numbers. We're not going to obviously stop reminding people of that.
Yeah, I think when you look at the numbers, you really get a scale and a sense of how engaged the industry was. Just at a very high level, across our own LinkedIn channels, over 350,000 impressions. In terms of the online profile pages of the retailer entries, nearly 70,000 views during the competition of those pages, from over 25,000 people who engaged with the site and the profiles during the process. And over 2,300 people who voted online for their favorites, selecting their top 1, 2, and 3. So I think all around, just the level of engagement, and it's kind of testament to the levels of participation, and really what the competition provided was this ability to see what was happening in the charging space on the go around the world from different markets. And our thanks to all of those retailers who participated, and to those who participated by engaging with the competition and voting.
And Nick, we're learning. I mean, it's an amazing experience to have the variety of geographies, the variety of different brands, the variety of offers. And I must say, this has really helped the whole industry, I think, see what the benchmarks are for the best, and it'll allow those markets move forward and prosper and grow. So you've definitely shared a lot of really good insights with the global community, and I want to thank you guys for doing that.
We put a lot of thought into it, and we're just delighted that we've got the engagement, and it's turned out as a big success. I mean, worth probably mentioning for a minute some of the process, because I think process in these things is very important, and we put a lot of thought into it. And Nick, you were very instrumental in designing the process behind it, and I think you did a really good job. And I think one of the things that was really important, obviously, we had the 24 entries. Then we had a very distinguished panel of experts to narrow it down a bit, and narrow it down to a field of 10 before we got to the vote. And I think that was an important part of the process. That was an important step, because obviously, it makes it manageable, and also, really allowed them to have their influence on the competition from their many different aspects. From George Zheng, who's NAC's relationship partner in China, knows the Asian market very well. To Joe Boner and Craig Phillipson, who can really, have got a great global overview of what looks good. Christian Warning as well, and of course of Anna from Visa, Ollie from Coca-Cola, Ganesh from Vontier. So really a really good group of people who brought some expertise to that selection of that top 10. And then, obviously, I think the other great design aspect of this, Nick, which was your idea, and I think you got that absolutely right, was to not just ask people to vote for one choice, but ask them to vote for 3 choices. What was your thinking behind that?
Yeah, I think, really, in terms of the online vote process, was in part to engage the industry, but also to make sure that the process was really robust and fair. And so what we asked people to do was provide their details so we could validate each vote individually. And we also asked each person to vote for their first, second, and third place choice.
And they couldn't vote for the same site 3 times.
That's right. We put some
they couldn't do that.
Put some safeguards and designed in for that. So you had to select 3 different sites for your first, second, and third. A first place vote then received 3 points, second place 2 points, and third place 1 point. So it took a while after the voting had closed to validate all of those votes individually. As I said earlier, over 2,300 votes. Go through all of that information, make sure nobody had voted more than once.
Well, I think this is a very important point, because it was so close, Frank, that it was absolutely essential to go through every vote for obviously the top 3 candidates and find any duplicate votes. There were a few duplicate votes, hardly any, but
there were a handful.
So close that, they could have been enough to count. So obviously we applied that. We went through every vote. It took a while and took out any duplicates. Obviously we applied the same standard to each of the 3, looking at their votes, and that meant that we could be absolutely precise in terms of being certain who won, because it was very, very close. And I think obviously that's something that we could see happening here, which obviously wasn't on view, but we can tell everybody, between the top 3, it was a very small number of votes in it, so it was at the end.
Yeah, and I think, to your point, Dan, in terms of the closeness, it's kind of testament to the incredible development of those sites and the outstanding offers that they that they've created for their consumers. So, yeah, it was a really interesting process, and very deserved winners.
Well, of course, absolutely, and what we'll be doing, we'll be working on the plans as for this very soon. But what we'll be doing, competition hasn't ended yet, because the prize for winning is that we get, you get us. I guess that's a good prize to come to your site and to make a very high quality video featuring your team, letting them celebrate in a video really their win, and so we'll be coming to Norway. We'll be going down south in Norway to the DCC Energy site down at Mandal and doing that very soon. So coming soon will be that film. I mean, the other thing I'd say is that we're going to be doing this again, because I mean, one of the things that came out, obviously we had a lot of retailers who are about to open a new site. This the EV hub space is busy, with investment, and that's still rolling out. So there were a number of sites that weren't ready yet, and they said, will you be doing it again next year? We said yes. So we know there's sites in the pipeline already for next year. And, this market, Frank, is changing all the time, isn't it? So, we'll want to come back to this next year in 2025.
Yeah, Dan, my sense is everybody will have learned from this year's competition. So, what is it that makes you the best of the best? And certainly we can't wait to see the video, this in-depth video of the DCC site. I think that'll help everybody see what the benchmarks are. Of course, you're going to have everyone racing to take some of those ideas and implement them in their own locations. So I think we'll even have hotter competition in 2025. We certainly will have great interest, because this is an evolving market. It's not going to stay still. It's got to move forward, and it's new, and we're trying to learn and grow and develop as we go. So I think this kind of competition helps everybody, Dan. And I really want to thank everybody for entering. I mean, the 24 entries, the 10 finalists, and everybody who voted. It's a war of inches sometimes, and as somebody who's been in the position of not winning, maybe the first or second time, my message is never give up. Keep going, keep trying, and keep putting yourself forward.
That's a good message, Frank.
I mean, Frank, I don't think you certainly didn't give up, and you've won quite a few things in your time because of that, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's. I remember I had a team over at one of the Next Awards, and I was hoping to win. And actually, one of the guys from DCC now was there on the night, and he said, "How come we didn't win?" I said, "We'll do it next year. There's always another year."
Absolutely.
Well, I think that brings us next nicely to what we're already about working together with you, Frank, which is is always a pleasure. But this is really exciting. We're going to be running a new competition kicking off in June, and we're searching for the best Foodvenience store in the world this time. And Frank, you're very much mentoring and guiding us. Excuse me, and part of the team on this. And you're very passionate about why this topic is of global importance to our industry as well, aren't you?
Yeah, 100%, Dan and Nick. In my mind, this merging of food and convenience is happening at a very fast pace globally. And, what we're seeing, the best players emerging, they've managed to figure out how you look after customer needs, right? When they're looking for convenience and food products, and they're putting them in one or two boxes on a location, which may or may not have gas or fuels, right? So, and it could have EV fuels. So I think it's quite exciting, because when I've traveled and you've traveled, guys, you've seen some unbelievable concepts, some really amazing operational standards and excellence. And then we're hearing of some incredible financial performances. So I think what we're going to have is we're going to have a very hotly contested competition. We're going to have entries from all over the world. I can't wait to see some of the entries. I know, this is the first global one that I'm aware of where everybody has a chance to put themselves forward and show how great they are and be judged by the best of the best. So it could be a fantastic competition. I'm really looking forward and thrilled to be involved. Of course, my background is 30 years food and convenience, so hence the title suits me perfectly to be involved in something I'm very passionate about.
Absolutely, Frank. And, just thinking about the future-proofing of our industry, foodvenience, food service, it's crucial, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, Dan, I've been talking about this as all you guys have been, the experts, some of whom you mentioned earlier on. We definitely feel that, companies, right, that reinvent themselves and continue to evolve or innovate, particularly for looking after customers for need states. So whether it's for breakfast, lunch, dinner, take home, impulse purchases, alcohol, there's so many categories that you can address in a convenience store. The ones that do it the best get greater market share, a greater share of wallet from the consumer, higher average spends, and much more profitability. And I think that's the key thing, because I'm seeing it in the States. Companies I've looked at for 20 years are continuing to grow and grow and grow. Regional players, and they're awesome. We see the same in Europe. We see the same in Middle East and China and South America. So this is a battleground, not for convenience, it's for the customer spend. And I think, we're winning out in the convenience channel. I think we looked at the next numbers there in the SOI, and they were the highest numbers ever. So this market's continuing to grow, even in the mature markets. I'm very excited about it.
Well, absolutely. And I think one of the things about these competitions, just thinking about, how we're able to do them, obviously there's a lot of travel involved. I mean, really, someone was asking me to explain what's different about the competition. And, I think what's really different about the competition is how important visiting sites is. And we've always believed in that, Frank. You've always believed in that. That's really where the learning is. It's sites that you're visiting that are being hosted by the team and by some senior executives from that retailer. That's how you learn. And this competition is very much focused on those site visits. So in the run up, you and I and Nick are going to be doing a lot of site visits through the competition. We're going to be doing a lot of site visits and posting about them online. And I think that side of things is very important. Obviously, we'll be doing all the filming as well, and we wouldn't be able to do all this travel and all the filming. Obviously, we're filming at a very sort of high level of quality as well, which is needs budgets. So our sponsors that we have backing this are really, really important. And to have started off with best EV hub in the world and have names like Vontier, who are phenomenally big business in our industry. Obviously, they're the company who own Gilbarco, Vida-Root, and Invenco, big backers. And then, of course, we had Visa and Coca-Cola as well, who really backed us to the hilt and have been very, very supportive and generous with their time. To help us do a really good job on Best EV Hub. What I would like to say is, again, a really, really big thank you to those guys, from those sponsors. We wouldn't have been able to do it without them, would we, Frank?
No, I think sponsors are important, Dan, because they help us, create a budget that we can give high quality store visits, video and commentary, and obviously access for the industry. So I always thank sponsors and supplier vendors who help us out with industry things like this. And, it's very thoughtful. It's leadership in my mind. And, the companies that you've mentioned, I believe, are leaders in their field. And it's great to see them support, initiatives like this. And obviously we want the same for the best Foodvenience store of the globe. Okay, so listen, I think that's all. We're almost done. And really just to kind of mention to all you retailers out there, get involved, come and enter the competition. We want to see a good broad geography, and we want to see all those brands we love and know throughout the world. If you want further details, you get further details on Global Convenience Store Focus. I'm calling on all you retailers. Get your entries in. We want to see who are the best of the best in the world.
Well, I think Frank summed it up there, Nick.
Frank, thanks for joining us today. It's been awesome.
It's always awesome, and thank you everybody else for listening on The Future of Convenience. See you again soon.
You've been listening to the Future of Convenience podcast, produced by Dan Munford, Nick Scherzer, Jenna Ferguson, and Lorraine Evans. It is produced, edited, and mixed by Carolyn Schneer, and music is provided by Jukebox Music. Tune in every other Friday for new episodes, and please subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. Learn more at globalconveniencestorefocus.co.uk.